Hello everybody, my name is Jill Howell and I'm a Younique presenter, and I'm going to show you how to highlight and contour your face. So I have already started. I washed my face with Awake, and then I moisturized with Brilliant, and then I went ahead and put on my Glorious Primer. You want to make sure you put on your primer after you moisturize and before you apply makeup. It helps your makeup last longer, and it kind of helps the makeup kind of melt into your skin better. So I'm going to start by putting BB Flawless all over my face. This is the color medium. Most people will be this color. Okay, I've got a nice even coverage of the BB cream. Now I'm going to set it with a mineral concealer, and Fabulous is my best match, and I will use the Powder Puff brush. Now that I've set that, we can move on, and right now is when you would do any extra concealing that you may need, any blemishes, hyperpigmentation, those kinds of things. So I have, a few spots that I need to cover. So I'm just going to dab it and then just kind of feather the edges to cover it. After you've done all the extra concealing that you need to do, you are all set for your contouring. I have chosen to use the color Fierce. It's the darkest shade. I find it just contours beautifully, and I like to use a blusher brush. So I'm going to go ahead and press it into my brush, really getting it into the bristles. And I'm going to start with my cheeks, and when you do this, the best guide is from your ear to the corner of your mouth. You can kind of guide it with your brush like that. You can even go like this. And you want to do it in this area, but you don't want to go past the point of your eyebrow. So you want to go all the way to the corner of your mouth. And you want your brush angled with the long bristles angled towards your mouth. If you do it the other direction, it kind of makes it blotchy. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just kind of patting and pressing, no swiping. Make sure you get it into your hair. You can kind of feather it into your hair, and then to blend it, you can kind of feather what you've done up and down. Okay, I have one cheek done. You can definitely see a big difference. You can see this cheek has been done and this one's just pretty flat. Again, I'm just feathering those edges. And we will blend it more later. So, you'll notice that it's pretty dark, and that's okay because it will blend together. Okay, I have both cheeks done. Now I'm going to move and do my forehead. The areas you contour on your face might be slightly different than mine. According to your face shape, if your face is very round, you might want to contour the outsides, or if you have hollow cheeks, you might not want to contour your cheeks. So just wherever you want to minimize is where you can contour. I have a fairly long forehead, so I like to kind of soften the edges of mine. So I'm going to keep it close to the hairline. you can make this as light or as dramatic as you want it. I'm making it fairly dramatic so you can see it on the video. But I have half my forehead done, and you can definitely see a pretty big difference. And you can also, if you feel like you have, you know, a saggy neck, you can contour your neck. You'd want to do this area. I'm not going to do that on myself, but you can contour here and you could contour here. The same technique, just padding and feathering those edges. Next, I'm going to do my nose. This is my favorite part of contouring. I love what it does for my nose. So I put basically just the pigment in this tip of the brush because that's really the only part that I'm going to use for the nose. So I've got my pigment in there, and I'm going to brush it just along the side of my nose, trying to avoid this area. I'm just trying to keep it here because I'm just trying to make the bridge of my nose look thinner. So you can see one side done. And if you want to look thinner, just bring those two closer together. You know, you can contour up onto it if you want to make it look thinner, like up here. Or if your nose is crooked, you could kind of straighten it out that way too. Okay, I've contoured my nose. Now I am going to move to my highlighting. I like to use the BB cream colored light. It just works so well. You could also use Fresh, which is the mineral concealer. I actually use both, but you could do one or the other at home. I use my concealer brush for this when I use the BB cream, or if I use the concealer, I use this for my highlighting. I'm going to start with under my eyes. Going down the side of my nose. Now you kind of see this kind of made almost a triangle. I like to use my finger to kind of blend it in. Okay, I like to go down the front of my nose. This kind of makes the contouring stand out even more. This part, it reminds me of an upside down triangle. I'm going to just kind of feather it lightly over the contouring where it just blends out. If you want to kind of erase those circles around your mouth or the lines, you could kind of add some highlighting there. And finish off just a little bit on my chin. Okay, done my highlighting with the BB cream, and I'm just going to kind of go back with a little bit of Fresh and just kind of set it in place. You know, you don't have to do this. You could try it with or without. I like to, it just kind of makes it stand out a little bit more, I think. Now keep in mind, if you feel highlighting or especially if you're highlighting with a powder makes your wrinkles stand out, you just need to make sure that you are getting the powder into the wrinkle. If it's like setting around it, it's gonna make it stand out more. So just really press into the skin to make sure you get it all the way into the wrinkle. You could try it with your brush, but if you're struggling, you could use a sponge and use the sponge to kind of press it in as well. Okay, I think right now you could probably really see a big difference between the contouring and the highlighting, but it is going to blend together. So, you know, just keep in mind at home that you're supposed to see the difference right now, and then it all blends together at the end. I'm going to move on to my blush. I use a second blusher brush. This is the same brush, but I have one that I use for contouring and one that I use for blush, because when I go to do my contouring tomorrow, I don't want red in it and get my contouring red. So if you want to use the same brush, just make sure that you rinse it out when you're done, so it'll be clean for the next day. I've chosen color Scandalous. It's very red, very pigmented. I think it's really fun, and I love how this blush lasts all day long. This color is so bright that sometimes I have to just kind of wipe it on my hand too. Okay, you want this just on the apples of your cheeks, so I kind of smile a little bit like this, and then it makes the balls of my cheeks stand out. You can see this color is really dark, so I'm even wiping my brush off a little more on the towel. Okay, I have my blush on. I'm not looking so good right now, but that's okay. We're gonna blend it together, and I'm going to go back to my powder puff brush. This is the last step. We're almost done. I first used the color Fabulous. That was my skin match. That's what I used for my blemishes and when I set my BB cream. You can go back to that color and just blend your face all together. Or if you want to look like a little bit more tan or sun-kissed, you could choose a shade or two darker than what you used. I'm going to go ahead and do that so you can see that you can use a shade that's technically too dark for you. So I've chosen the color Foxy, which is 2 shades darker than what I was using. I'm just going to get at my brush, and so when I'm doing this, I'm going to make sure that I really do my neck really well so it blends in. So I always just start there. Now you can see the blush and the contouring is blending together. So keep in mind, when you first pick up the pigment and when you touch your face, that's going to be the darkest. So you don't want to put that right on your highlighting. Maybe put it on your contouring and then blend into your highlighting so you don't kind of erase all that highlighting you did. So I'll show you on my forehead. I'm not going to start right here because that's going to put all the pigment there. I'll start in the edges and then kind of work my way in. And so you can see that I have blended all that contouring into my highlighting nicely. And I'm going to finish the other cheek. We are almost done. Okay. And there you have it. That's how you highlight and contour your face. I hope you learned something and have fun with it and practice at home.